And, Tegna even took a paid partnership with the California Department of Public Health Let's Get Vaccinated campaign. Like, the lines are beyond blurred.
Are you
And
serious?
I'm dead serious, because after I left, I was scrolling through Facebook one day, and I saw that our sister station in Sacramento had one of those paid partnership advertisements with the California Department of Public Health's Let's Get Vaccinated campaign. But I mean, that's like the least surprising thing ever. I mean, they had me try to do Facebook Lives to promote Pfizer, shots and stuff. When my management found out I was not vaccinated, that was like the beginning of the end. From that point on, I was pretty much exclusively put on COVID stories, sometimes really far in advance. 90% of the time, I don't know what I'm doing till that morning. There was one time where a week before an event, they were giving out free Padres tickets at Petco Park if you got vaccinated that day. And they wanted someone to do a Facebook Live to like promote Pfizer, basically. And rather than just giving it to somebody that morning for, this isn't like the president's coming to town. Like, we don't need to plan that far in advance. A week before, I got an email from management saying, hey, like, we want Allison on this story. And it was a dayside story. And they said, oh, she's on the morning show that whole week. And they said, pull her that day, like, mess up her sleep schedule, pull her that day. We want her on that story. There were there's like 7 dayside reporters. There are other people who could have done that story, but, it was pretty obvious what they were doing. And I like 99% of the people I worked with, by the way, like some really wonderful people. But long story short, November 12th was the deadline to get vaccinated. I filled out an exemption. They told me, maybe a month before, that they were not going to allow any exemptions for reporters because we are in the public. I've never had to like touch anybody for work or anything. I've never had to like get close to someone. And so that was it. I was the only on-air person to say no to getting vaccinated and walk away. And one of the only people to not post it on Instagram. Some people didn't post it on Instagram, but I was, as far as I know, the only person. And I also didn't tell anybody. I just walked out that day, and then later people got an email that I left. I told HR and I told like 2 people I was close with at work that I was leaving. But other than that, I walked out that day, and a couple of people were like, oh, see you tomorrow. And I was like, oh, see you tomorrow. You're not going to see me.
So when you were saying you knew what they were doing by sending you to these stories, do you think they were like trying to rub your face in it, or they were saying, oh, we hope Allison will gain some information and change her mind? Like, why do you think that was happening? Because I agree with you. It is weird to take somebody off of their normal schedule to cover something that's not something of grave significance. It seems weird.
Well, I mean, one time they moved my entire schedule around for a week, and they gave me a story called Younger, Sicker, Quicker, where they wanted me to cover how people were getting younger, sicker, quicker, and filling up hospitals, young adults, kids, teenagers. And that was in direct response to some of my skepticism about some of the things that we were covering. That was a very clear punishment. And I don't believe that to be true. I looked into it. I looked into the data, and I don't feel like morgues are piling up with people our age whatsoever. So I think that the move was sending a very clear message, like, you're lucky to have this job, know your place. We need to believe in science. We need to believe in scientists. I believe in gravity. Like, I believe in science, but the whole believe in science narrative is a campaign. It's a marketing thing that's been implanted in our brains. And it was a long time ago, I think, before this pandemic, to try to set this precedent so that way we would fall for a lot of this stuff. Long story short, I do love a lot of the people I worked with in my career, both stations that I was at, the producers, photographers, 99% of people are like really wonderful people who love their families. But there comes a day where, I was getting acne like I hadn't had since I was a teenager, from stress, from the guilt of all of this. I'm sure you have that experience too, where it's like, I feel like as much as I like want to question things, and I can nitpick my words to attribute it to other people, so I'm not the one saying it, like, there is this ethical concern that like I'm contributing to the division and fear of people, and what we're doing is not a good fit for me. Like, corporate news just was not a good fit for me anymore. And there's a mourning process too, because it's your dream job for a long time. I'm sure you had that too. You work your way up to your dream market in the city you want to be in, and you're so excited when you get there, and then you get to it, and you just have these little moments where you're like, oh, like, this is pretty cookie cutter. Like, there are some clear financial motives that go into news, and there's only so much you can do until you realize, okay, I have to do it on my own. But then you also realize it's pretty expensive doing it on your own. So here we are.
Before we get to the rest of this video, this is just a short clip that has basically been sanitized so it can fly under the radar on YouTube. If you want to see the entire conversation that we had or the entirety of the commentary that you're watching, please go to one of my other platforms. One of the best places to go is AllisonMorrow.locals.com, where you can become part of my editorial board and pose questions ahead of time for interviews. I also do live editorial board meetings on Saturdays. You can bring your feedback and pose ideas for guests and topics for the week to come, and you get exclusive content. So go to AllisonMorrow.locals.com, but whatever you do, don't stay here on YouTube. If you want the full truth about what's happening around us, you gotta go somewhere else. What are you doing now, and how can people find you?
Oh, thank you for letting me know. So just over a week ago, I jumped into the deep end, and I started a Rumble channel, which is really exciting because I feel like censorship is hopefully not going to be as big of an issue as it is on some other platforms. So I have a Rumble channel. If you search Allison Royal New School News on Rumble, you can find it. I named it New School News because I feel like the kind of news industry that we were in before, which again has some pros, was kind of the old school model. And I'm kind of moving toward a new school model because I feel like it works a little bit better for me personally. And I also have a Twitter, which is Allison Royal TV. I just made a Getter, which is Allison Royal. And then I haven't advertised this yet, but I do have a Give, Send, Go because I am realizing that when you're an independent journalist, much like you, a lot of the wonderful gear that you've become accustomed to using actually costs money. And now your station isn't paying for it, you're paying for it. So there's a lot of different expenses. Like I'd love to get a camera and lighting like yours. You look beautiful. This computer is 10 years old. Like this computer would be in 5th grade if this computer was a person. So I need a new computer. Like there's so many things that just take money. So I do have a Give, Send, Go if anyone feels compelled to donate, but I also understand if you're not in a position to, because I don't know if I would be in a position to right now.
What is the link to
I'm
that?
just trying to be independent. Like I'm not taking any money from pharmaceutical companies, political groups of any affiliation, any major corporations. Maybe down the road, like some small mom and pop businesses that I can vet for myself and trust, I would take, small advertisements from. But for now, I don't want to touch anything with the 10-foot pole that has to do with big corporate interests whatsoever. And I think there's something to be said about being independent because you and we can make our stories as long as short as we want. We can talk to whoever we want. And we don't have to answer to people. Granted, if we want to go travel for a story, that we have to foot the bill for that. So that's a little bit of a challenge. But there's something to be said about like putting your name on something and thinking, okay, like this is all me.
Right. You were saying your Give, Send, Go. Do you have a link?
Yes, I do. It's actually just my name. So givesendgo.com/Allison Royal, 2 L's. Again, I haven't really, this is like the first time advertising it. I feel, feels a little weird to be like asking people. You can also just like learn more about me on there too. If you want to learn more about me, you can also pray too. Prayers are appreciated. Oh, wow.
There you go.
Are you sponsored by wine?
Yes, which is why I figured as long as you were promoting stuff, I might as well throw my sponsors in there too. You got to get yourself some AllisonWinePromo.com with 2 L's, but mine's with 1 L, just so my audience doesn't get confused. Yes, I actually do. If you're a wine drinker, you can go to AllisonWinePromo.com and you get 50% off of my favorite high altitude Malbecs from Argentina. And as you can see here, we have this one, a never before imported 90-point Malbec from 8,950 feet, which is an extreme altitude Malbec. I tell people that one of the positive benefits of drinking high altitude wine, besides the flavor is very robust because the grapes work a lot harder under the sun, is fewer pesticides. So you can also get one from Argentina's oldest vineyard, over 200 years old. Again, this is AllisonWinePromo.com. You get 50% off the wine itself and 50% off shipping. But Allison, I also have a coffee sponsor.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I do. So if you like coffee, you can go to twinenginecoffee.com/Allison, twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. Also high altitude Nicaraguan roasts. They have a wide variety. These are USDA certified organic. And one of my favorite products to advertise too is the tea. If you're a tea drinker, this Katura tea is tea made from coffee fruits. It's really good. I cold brew mine for about 24 hours and it's very good, but they have a wide variety of roasts you can check out and they help sea turtles. So it's a win-win.